What if humanity isn't Earth's first chapter? What if long before pyramids, long before the ice ages, long before anything we call history, another civilization rose, thrived, mastered the planet, and then vanished so completely that only the faintest traces remain? What if Earth had a story we never learned, because time erased it? Tonight, we search for the truth hidden beneath our feet. For thousands of years, humans believed we were the first thinkers, the first builders, the first species with language, art, and technology. But the Earth is ancient, unimaginably ancient. Human civilization is only a blink in comparison. So what if Earth had a forgotten era? A time when intelligent beings, maybe human, maybe not, built cities, created technology, shaped the planet, and then disappeared, leaving behind only silent hints in rocks and oceans? Scientists even have a name for this idea. The Silurian hypothesis, the question of whether Earth itself could have hosted a civilization millions of years before ours, one so old and so erased that only deep geological scars still whisper its existence. Imagine Earth as a cycle. Civilization rises. Civilization falls. Nature heals. And time swallows everything. If humanity disappeared today, what would remain in 10,000 years? In a million? 100 million? Almost nothing. Mountains rise, erode, and rise again. Continents drift. Oceans devour coastlines. Jungles reclaim cities. Steel becomes dust. Concrete becomes sand. Plastics dissolve. Even great monuments, skyscrapers, bridges, entire metropolises would vanish without leaving a trace. So if a civilization lived before us, even a highly advanced one, could we actually find its ruins? The unsettling answer is maybe not. NASA scientists and geologists have asked this question seriously, not out of fantasy, but because Earth's history is simply too long, too deep, too incomplete. Humanity represents only the last pixel in Earth's enormous timeline. This means there is an ocean of forgotten ages, periods where anything could have happened. If an intelligent species rose, where did it live? What did it build? And what buried it? To uncover a civilization erased by time, we must search in ways deeper than archaeology, deeper than ruins, artifacts, or bones. We must read the planet itself, its rocks, sediments, chemicals, fossils, and the strange anomalies that don't fit into our version of history. And tonight, that's where our journey begins. To search for a civilization millions of years old, we can't rely on what archaeologists usually look for. Ruins would be gone. Tools would be gone. Even species would be lost to extinction and transformation. So we turn to the only witness that survives everything, the Earth itself. Deep beneath your feet right now is a record, a layered memory of every age this planet has lived through. But it is imperfect, torn, fractured, erased by fire and pressure. Think of Earth's crust like a book that has been rewritten millions of times. Chapters crushed, pages melted, entire volumes missing. Yet here and there, single sentences remain. Scientists hunt for those sentences. And that is where the story becomes strange. The first clue comes not from ancient ruins, but from strange geological fingerprints, chemical anomalies in rocks that seem to hint at events Earth shouldn't have had. One of these clues is something called a carbon isotope spike, a sudden, sharp change in the carbon balance of the atmosphere. In nature, this can sometimes happen from volcanic events or runaway climates. But one particular spike, found across layers of ancient sediment, is unusually similar to the carbon changes we see today, changes caused by modern industrial activity. A coincidence? Maybe. But some scientists wonder, what if an earlier civilization burned carbon the way we do today? What if their entire industrial age lasted a few thousand years and then ended abruptly, just like ours might? If that happened tens of millions of years ago, we wouldn't know the difference. Their cities would be dust. Their machines long gone. Only a brief chemical scar would remain. But carbon isn't the only clue. In another layer of ancient rock, scientists found a sudden decline of ocean oxygen, something that happens when a planet undergoes massive industrial pollution. Again, nature can do this, but the signature resembles what would happen if a global civilization disrupted the oceans. Imagine that. A world thriving with intelligence, then quietly collapsing, leaving behind only a whisper in the chemistry of the sea. To understand whether this is coincidence or something more, we must explore the stability of Earth's memory, how quickly it erases everything built upon it. Imagine a modern city. Millions of lives. Glass towers touching the sky. Electricity humming through wires. Vehicles, satellites, machines. Now imagine that city abandoned. Within a week, plants begin their return. Within a year, metal corrodes. Within 1,000 years, skyscrapers collapse. Within 1 million, the area becomes unrecognizable. Within 10 million, the crust itself moves, shattering anything that once existed. What chance, then, would a pre-human civilization have? Even our deepest achievements, tunnels, nuclear waste sites, monuments, would eventually be crushed beneath shifting continents. After long enough, only faint chemical signatures, microscopic traces, or geological anomalies might remain. And we have found anomalies. Ancient layers containing mysterious microspheres, tiny metal droplets formed under extreme heat, sediments filled with soot from massive fires that no natural event seems to fully explain, unexpected concentrations of rare metals that look uncannily like industrial byproducts. Each one by itself is easy to dismiss, but together they form a pattern, a quiet, unsettling possibility. If a civilization existed before us, it may not have left ruins. It may have left clues, small, strange footprints in the deep record of time. And so the question grows, what kind of beings could have lived here before us? Were they like us? Something else? And what could have caused their disappearance? To answer that, we must travel deeper into Earth's forgotten ages, explore extinction events, lost continents, and the shadowy boundaries where known history fades into complete geological darkness. Our search has only just begun. Extinction events and how civilizations disappear. To understand whether an advanced civilization once walked the Earth before us, we must understand how civilizations end. Every species, every empire, every age in Earth's long history has faced the same truth. This planet is both a cradle and a destroyer. If a civilization had risen millions of years before us, it would not only need to be advanced, it would also need to survive Earth's endless chain of catastrophes, events powerful enough to erase entire worlds. And yet, throughout Earth's 4.5 billion years, entire chapters vanish in an instant. Imagine a thriving civilization, cities glittering along coastlines, technology humming, culture blossoming, suddenly facing forces no amount of intelligence could overcome. The planet has many ways of wiping the slate clean. The first is impact. A single asteroid, 6 miles wide, ended the age of the dinosaurs. The shockwave, heat, and global darkness erased 75% of all life. If an ancient civilization had existed before that moment, it would have been as vulnerable as everything else. Picture their cities turned to ash, their monument shattered, their technology melted and scattered into dust. And after millions of years, not a single recognizable artifact would remain. The second eraser is volcanic annihilation. Earth has unleashed eruptions so vast, so continuous, that entire continents were drowned in lava, oceans of molten rock stretching for thousands of kilometers. These weren't explosive blasts, but slow, unstoppable floods that smothered everything beneath them. If a civilization lived in the wrong era, it could have been buried under lava miles deep. Nothing survives beneath that pressure. Not buildings, not bones, not metal. Time wouldn't just erase them. Time would rewrite the planet over their graves. But perhaps the most devastating force of all is the planet's shifting skin. Continents move, mountains rise, oceans swallow land. Entire regions disappear beneath plates and are pushed deep into the mantle, melted, recycled, reborn as new rock millions of years later. If a civilization built even the greatest monuments, they could eventually become nothing more than magma. Imagine a city swallowed by the earth, pressed deeper and deeper over millennia until it becomes part of the molten interior, erased so thoroughly that not even dust remains. This alone makes the search for a pre-human civilization nearly impossible. Because the earth doesn't preserve the past, it consumes it. Yet something else complicates the story. Extinction events don't only destroy civilizations, they erase clues about what existed before them. Every mass extinction rearranges the planet, wipes species from existence, and creates a void, a blank page on which the next era writes itself. Could one of these blank pages hide the remains of a forgotten civilization? Look at the Permian extinction, known as the Great Dying. It ended 90% of all life. The surface of Earth after this event was so altered that the world before it might as well have belonged to another planet. If an intelligent species had lived at that time, their entire existence could have been erased beyond recognition. Even the fossils we rely on today are only a small fraction of Earth's true diversity. Fossils form under very specific conditions, and advanced civilizations don't leave bones in river mud. They build on rock, coastlines, deserts, plains, places where fossilization rarely occurs. So not only could a civilization be erased, it could be erased with alarming ease. And yet, not everything disappears. Chemical fingerprints remain. Odd anomalies linger. Mysterious gaps in the fossil record puzzle scientists to this day. When we combine these strange clues with the destructive cycles of Earth, something becomes clear. If there was an advanced civilization before us, it would have had to face disaster after disaster, each capable of wiping out everything it had achieved. But here's the deeper question, the one that gives this mystery its weight. If a civilization existed millions of years ago, how advanced could it have become before vanishing? To answer that, we must explore lost continents, ancient oceans, and the shadowy geological scars that might hold the faint traces of something extraordinary, something intelligent. And that journey begins with Earth's greatest missing worlds, places like Lemuria, Zealandia, and the sunken fragments of Gondwana, continents swallowed long before the first human ever walked the Earth. Our search now moves toward the places where entire continents once existed, but no longer do. Places that might have carried the footprints of a forgotten age. Lost continents and the worlds that vanished. If we're searching for a civilization erased by time, we cannot limit ourselves to the continents we know today. Because the land beneath your feet wasn't always here. The Earth has worn many faces, ancient worlds that existed long before humans, long before mammals, long before anything we recognize. These forgotten continents are more than geological curiosities. They are missing stages, lost chapters, places where a civilization could have risen and disappeared without leaving a single trace on the lands we live on today. And the first of these lost worlds is Zealandia. Today, only its highest mountains remain above water, the islands we call New Zealand. But the rest, an entire continent the size of India, lies submerged beneath the Pacific Ocean. Zealandia didn't sink in a single dramatic event. It gradually drowned over tens of millions of years, slowly disappearing beneath rising seas and shifting tectonic plates. If anything lived there, animals, forests, or even a civilization, their entire world is now buried under kilometers of crushing water and sediment. Imagine ancient cities swallowed by the ocean, then covered layer by layer until the seafloor sealed them from time. Their ruins would be unreachable, unseen, pressed so deeply that no human eye could ever find them. But Zealandia is not the only forgotten land. There is Lemuria, a continent that once existed in the Indian Ocean. Although Lemuria later became wrapped in myths, the scientific truth behind it is real. Massive fragments of an ancient continent lie scattered beneath Madagascar and the Indian Ocean, pieces of a world that once connected India, Africa, and Antarctica. These fragments are older than the Himalayas, older than the Atlantic Ocean, older than almost anything standing above sea level today. If a civilization lived on these ancient shores, everything they built now sleeps beneath water and rock, erased so completely that only tectonic ghosts remain. But the greatest of all Earth's lost worlds was Gondwana, a supercontinent that once stretched from pole to pole, carrying vast ecosystems, deserts, jungles, and mountain ranges long before humans existed. Gondwana lasted for hundreds of millions of years. Plenty of time for evolution to try something new, something intelligent. And when Gondwana finally broke apart, torn by Earth's internal fires, its fragments scattered into the lands we know now: Africa, South America, Antarctica, India, Australia. Imagine if an intelligent species lived anywhere on Gondwana. Their entire world would now be shattered across half the globe. No temples left, no cities, no machines, just silence, buried beneath continents that drifted across the planet like slow-moving islands. And here lies the real mystery. All these lost lands existed during ages of Earth we barely understand. Ages where creatures flourished, evolved, and vanished long before anything resembling humans took shape. Ages where climate, geography, and life itself were dramatically different. If an intelligent species evolved in such a world, their bones might never fossilize. Their tools might rust into nothing. Their cities might crack, erode, and vanish in the endless churn of geological time. Millions of years later, Their home will be unrecognizable. The ground they once walked now lying thousands of meters underwater or fused into the continental crust. This is the challenge we face. We are not just looking for ruins. We are looking for a civilization that Earth itself tried to forget. But even if continents vanish, not all traces are lost. There are anomalies, tiny stubborn mysteries embedded in rocks, oceans, and minerals that suggest something unusual once happened, something that doesn't fit cleanly into the natural story of Earth. To understand these clues, we must turn to the deepest evidence: chemical signatures, fossil gaps, unexplained metal deposits, and geological oddities that might hold the fingerprints of an ancient civilization. And among them, there is one mystery more unsettling than all the rest. A mystery hidden beneath our oceans. A place so deep, so unexplored, that even today we have mapped the Moon and Mars more thoroughly than this world. If a civilization before us wanted to hide, this is where it would sleep. We now travel into the abyss, the ocean floor, and the strange secrets it keeps. The ocean floor and the deepest secrets of Earth. If an ancient civilization existed before us, the most likely place its remnants would hide is not on land. It's beneath the oceans, in a world we still barely know. The ocean floor is Earth's greatest vault. Cold, dark, silent, untouched by sunlight for millions of years. It is a place where time moves differently, where things are preserved, buried, and forgotten. But here is the unsettling truth. We have explored less than 5% of the ocean floor. In other words, 95% of Earth's deepest surface remains unseen, unmapped, a blank canvas where entire histories could sleep without our knowledge. Imagine for a moment an advanced civilization living long before humans, building cities on the coastlines, constructing harbors, shaping their world along the edges of oceans as we do today. Over millions of years, coastlines rise and fall. Sea levels shift, continents move, and everything they built could sink beneath the waves. What lies in those drowned margins now? Long trenches, underwater cliffs, vast plains of sediment, places we've never seen with our own eyes. We send machines to Mars, but have barely scanned our own abyss. Down there, unusual structures have occasionally appeared on sonar scans. Geometric shapes, straight lines, formations that look suspiciously like walls or foundations. Scientists always explain them naturally: erosion, volcanic activity, continental fractures. And maybe that's true. But the deeper we go, the stranger things become. There are places on the ocean floor where metal spheres are found, tiny, perfectly round, forged under extreme heat. They appear far older than any human civilization, scattered across sediments that might be millions of years old. There are regions where the chemical signatures resemble the aftermath of industrial activity: spikes in carbon, sudden shifts in mineral composition, unexpected concentrations of rare metals that don't fit easily into known natural processes. And then there are the manganese nodules. These are strange, rock-like formations scattered across the deep ocean floor. But here's the mystery. They grow around a core, a nucleus. Most of the time it is a small shell fragment, a grain of sand, or natural debris. But every so often, scientists find something else. Fragments of metal. Objects that should not be there. Pieces that look like they might have once been part of something far more complex. When asked, researchers say it's probably a coincidence, a piece of meteorite, a natural alloy, something explainable. And maybe it is. Or maybe these nodules are the planet's way of hiding ancient scraps, encapsulating them slowly, covering them, burying them until they become nothing more than oddities in the geological record. Deep beneath those nodules lies rock older than dinosaurs, older than forests, older than almost all life as we know it. If a civilization lived in those times, this is where their bones would lie. Not human bones, but fossil traces of whatever species evolution crafted before us. Yet fossilization on land is rare. In the deep sea, it is almost non-existent. Bones dissolve, materials erode, sediment swallows everything. Which raises a profound question. If nature hides things so well, would we even know if we weren't the first? But the ocean floor holds more than geological anomalies. It contains mysterious signals, acoustic signatures detected in deep ocean monitoring systems. Some of them resemble geological cracks, but others are eerily rhythmic, patterned, mechanical in their cadence. Navies around the world have logged unidentified deep-sea sounds for decades. Most remain classified. The ones that are public, they're given names like the Bloop, Julia, and Train, sound that seem too large, too complex, too structured to come from natural processes alone. Scientists attribute them to icebergs, tectonic plates, collapsing shelves. But the mystery remains. These sounds come from depths where nothing known could produce them. Could they be echoes? Resonances through ancient caves? Or something else? The distant, degraded remnants of a long-vanished world? The ocean floor may be silent now, but silence is not proof of emptiness. It is only proof of how little we've heard. If we want to uncover the truth, we must push deeper into Earth's forgotten ages, ancient extinctions, evolutionary mysteries, and the possibility that intelligent life may have risen not once, but multiple times. And to understand that possibility, we first need to explore evolution itself. Because intelligence is not an accident. It is a pattern, one that nature has repeated more than once. To find a civilization older than us, we must understand how evolution may have created minds long before our own. Evolution's second chance. Were we really the first intelligent species? To understand whether an advanced civilization existed before us, we must first understand the engine that creates civilizations, evolution. Evolution is not a straight line. It is not a ladder climbing toward humans. It is a branching tree, chaotic, unpredictable, yet astonishingly creative. And here is the truth we often forget. Intelligence is not unique to us. It is an adaptation one nature can discover more than once. If Earth is 4.5 billion years old, and humans have only existed for 300,000 years, then we represent far less than 0.01% of Earth's biological timeline. The rest, billions upon billions of years, are filled with creatures we have never seen, never imagined, never discovered. Creatures that lived, died, evolved, and vanished long before anything resembling humans walked the Earth. So the question becomes hauntingly real. Could intelligence have evolved long before us, and then disappeared? To answer that, we look at life's history, not as a line toward humanity, but as a series of windows, brief opportunities where the planet was stable, rich, and suitable for complex life to flourish. One such window was the Cambrian period, over 500 million years ago. During this era, life exploded in diversity. Complex creatures burst into existence almost overnight in evolutionary terms. Animals with eyes, nervous systems, intricate limbs, shells, and brains. Among them were predators with shockingly advanced features, creatures that hunted with precision and coordination. This was evolution experimenting, rapidly and wildly. But intelligence takes time. Huge stretches of stability, opportunity, pressure, and reward. And evolution had that time. For the next hundreds of millions of years, Earth experienced multiple periods where life flourished to extraordinary levels. Oceans teeming with creatures more complex than anything alive today. Ecosystems that were alien, intense, competitive. In these ancient worlds, there were candidates, species that might have been capable of evolving intelligence long before humans. Take cephalopods, the ancestors of today's octopus and squid. Their lineage is hundreds of millions of years old. They are problem solvers, escape artists, tool users. Their brains are remarkably complex, not merely for an invertebrate, but for any creature. Imagine their ancestors in ancient oceans, surviving mass extinctions, outsmarting predators, adapting again and again. If intelligence was ever going to rise from the sea, it would have come from them. But that is only one possibility. On land, there were ancient reptiles, clever, adaptable, building social structures long before dinosaurs even appeared. Some evolved binocular vision, grasping limbs, complex communication. In the age of dinosaurs, certain species of trudentids had brain-to-body ratios approaching early birds and mammals. Some paleontologists once speculated that, had the dinosaurs not gone extinct, these creatures could have evolved into highly intelligent beings, perhaps even tool users. But dinosaurs did go extinct. Evolution reset the stage. New species rose. Yet this pattern shows something important. Intelligence is not a single event, it is a repeated possibility. And if evolution has tried intelligence multiple times, what prevents it from succeeding long before humans? Now imagine this. What if there was a window 60 million years ago, 200 million years ago, even 400 million years ago, where a species gained not only intelligence, but civilization? A species that learned to use fire, tools, build structures, create language. A species with millions of years in which to progress. They would have had more time than we have ever had. Human civilization has existed for 6,000 years. Imagine a civilization with 6 million. Even if they reach technologies beyond our comprehension, time would still erase them. And this leads to a profound idea, one considered by scientists studying intelligence on Earth. Human-like intelligence might not be the first. It might simply be the most recent. Because the Earth is not generous with its past. Every civilization, whether ancient, theoretical, or future, faces the same fate: extinction, erosion, burial. If intelligence evolved before humans, it may have had its age of light, followed by an age of silence. Now the question deepens. If another intelligent species existed long before us, what would they have been like? What tools would they use? What challenges would they face? And what kind of world would they build on a planet so different from ours? To uncover that, we must turn to clues not of their existence, but of their potential. We must explore the biology, the environments, and the eras that could have produced minds equal to or beyond our own. And then, we must ask a darker question. What could have ended them? Because every intelligence that rises on Earth faces the same ancient enemy, the instability of the planet itself. To transform possibility into truth, we must step into the age of the dinosaurs, into primordial oceans, into vanished ecosystems, and reconstruct what an advanced pre-human species might have been. Our search now turns toward the beings who could have risen before us. Beings who shared our planet, but not our time. The ones who could have come before us. If an advanced civilization existed long before humans, who were they? What kind of beings could have risen, built knowledge, shaped their world, and then vanished without leaving a trace we can clearly recognize? To answer that, we must travel into Earth's deep past, into eras so ancient that the planet itself was nearly unrecognizable. Periods when the continents were fused into supercontinents, when oceans stretched endlessly, when climates swung between ice and fire. And in these alien worlds lived creatures that, even today, feel like science fiction. Now imagine one of them, evolving just a little further. The first candidate, the ocean intellects. Let's begin not on land, but deep beneath the waves. Long before dinosaurs, mammals, or even trees, the oceans were home to cephalopod ancestors. We think of octopuses today as intelligent, strange, and alien, but their lineage stretches back 500 million years. They survived every mass extinction. Their brains are distributed across their limbs. They solve puzzles, use tools, and escape enclosures with almost eerie skill. Now imagine an ancient cephalopod species, one that evolved larger brains, longer lifespans, and perhaps even primitive social structures. A species with intelligence millions of years before humans. Their cities wouldn't be built of stone. Their tools wouldn't be metal. They wouldn't leave behind bones because their bodies are soft. Their entire civilization could rise, flourish, and disappear beneath the crushing weight of geological time. Nothing left but whispers and sediments. This is the first possibility. An ocean civilization erased by the sea itself. The second candidate, the dinosaur thinkers. During the age of dinosaurs, intelligence wasn't rare. It was emerging in surprising places. Among them were the trudentids, small, bird-like predators with vision adapted for depth, claws capable of fine manipulation, and brain sizes proportionate to early mammals. Some paleontologists once speculated what would happen if they continued evolving. Would they walk upright? Use tools? Develop language? This hypothetical species was called the dinosauroid, not as a prediction, but as a thought experiment. If evolution gave dinosaurs millions more years, could they have reached human-like intelligence? Now imagine a branch of such dinosaurs evolving advanced cognition. Not right before the asteroid impact, but tens of millions of years earlier. A lineage that rises, thrives, and then declines long before the asteroid ends their brethren. A civilization living in a world warmer, denser, and more vibrant than our own. A world of giant ferns, massive insects, and volcanic skies. They would leave behind almost nothing we'd recognize. Not bones, not cities, not machines. Because 100 million years is more than enough time for stone to erode, metal to corrode, and entire landscapes to be swallowed by tectonic plates. This is the second possibility. A reptilian civilization erased by time and reconstructed continents. The third candidate, the shadow mammals. Before humans, before apes, before the great mammals. There were small, nocturnal creatures hiding from dinosaurs, but incredibly adaptive. After the dinosaurs disappeared, mammals exploded in diversity. Some evolved dexterous hands, forward-facing eyes, and complex social behavior far earlier than humans appeared. But what if intelligence bloomed and then died out long before our ancestors evolved? Imagine mammals that rose to advanced cognition 20, 30, or even 50 million years ago, in an era when the world was humid, lush, and dominated by megafauna. A species that created simple tools, primitive shelters, maybe even basic societies. Natural disasters could erase every trace. Forest civilizations don't fossilize. Wood doesn't survive. Primitive tools decay. Bones dissolve. The earth forgets them easily. This is the third possibility. A forgotten mammalian civilization, brief but real. The fourth candidate, the ones we can't imagine. This is the most unsettling truth. The first intelligent species on Earth might have been nothing like any creature alive today. Evolution has explored designs we can't even envision, creatures with anatomies, biologies, and senses that disappeared without descendants. They might have seen colors we can't see, felt electromagnetic fields, communicated in patterns lost to time. They could have built a world with no metal, no fire, no stone, using materials that left no fossil trace. Civilization, after all, doesn't always mean cities and steel. It means the ability to shape the world with intention. And a species millions of years ahead of us might have shaped the world in ways we no longer recognize. This is the fourth possibility. A civilization so different, its traces look like nature. The deepest question: if any of these beings existed, if any species reached intelligence long before us, why did they disappear? What ended them? Did they destroy themselves? Did the planet change too fast? Did a cosmic event erase them? Or did they leave? To answer that, we must face a darker, quieter idea. Perhaps every intelligent species faces a tipping point. A moment where survival requires wisdom, not technology. Those who fail vanish. Those who succeed transform. In the next part, we explore what could have ended a pre-human civilization. And could the same fate eventually target us? Extinction. How a pure human civilization could disappear. If an advanced civilization existed long before us, one question rises above all others. What erased them? How does a species intelligent enough to build, create, and shape its world vanish so completely that not a single undeniable trace remains? The answer lies in Earth's deepest truth. This planet both nurtures life and destroys it. Over billions of years, Earth has been a stage for creation and annihilation, a world that rises in complexity, only to collapse again and again. And each collapse leaves almost nothing behind. So if there was a civilization before us, then their greatest enemy was not war or time or decay. It was the planet itself. Let's explore the forces capable of wiping out an entire intelligent species and every record of their existence. The first threat: mass extinctions. Earth has experienced 5 major mass extinctions and dozens of smaller ones, events so catastrophic they erase more than 80 to 95% of all species in a geological instant. A civilization living during these periods would be powerless. The Permian extinction, for example, the deadliest event in Earth's history, annihilated over 96% of life. Volcanoes erupted non-stop for millions of years. The air turned toxic. The oceans lost all oxygen. Nothing survived. Any trace of civilization, buildings, artifacts, tools, will be incinerated, buried, melted, or drowned in the violent storms of volcanic ash. If a pre-human species lived before or during this event, we would never find evidence of them. This is the first possibility. A global catastrophe erased them before the rocks could remember. The second threat: geological erasure. Even without mass extinction, the Earth itself erases history. Continents shift. Mountains rise and crumble. Seafloors are swallowed into the mantle. Rivers carve away landscapes. Glaciers grind the world into powder. Stone, the most durable thing we know, is recycled by the planet. Every 200 to 300 million years, Earth renews its surface. So if a civilization rose hundreds of millions of years ago, the land they built on might not exist anymore. It might be buried under thousands of meters of rock, melted in the mantle, scattered across the ocean floor, or transformed into an entirely new continent. Their cities could now lie inside mountain roots, or at the bottom of volcanic crust. This is the second possibility. Tectonic recycling wiped away their world. The third threat, climate collapse. Climate is fragile. It balances on precise lines: temperature, sunlight, chemistry, ocean currents. Change any one of these too quickly, and ecosystems collapse. Imagine a highly advanced species that relied on delicate global environments, perhaps ocean temperatures, coastal habitats, or food chains sensitive to carbon shifts. A sudden ice age, a methane pulse, a runaway greenhouse effect could devastate them beyond recovery. Earth has frozen solid before a snowball Earth, where ice reached the equator. Earth has also boiled, reaching temperatures that modern mammals could not survive. No species, no matter how intelligent, is immune to climate reset. This is the third possibility. Nature changed faster than they could adapt. The fourth threat, self-destruction. This is the most human fear. Civilizations rise and sometimes collapse under their own weight. Perhaps a pre-human species overused their resources, forests, oceans, minerals, triggering ecological collapse. Perhaps they poisoned their environment. Perhaps they fought wars over dwindling supplies. Or perhaps they mastered technologies that eventually consumed them. Nuclear war, supervolcano manipulation, biological catastrophes, or something we cannot imagine, a technology that spiraled beyond control. A species millions of years older than us might have faced dangers we have not yet reached. Their fall could be a warning buried in time. Intelligence is powerful, but fragile. This is the fourth possibility. They ended themselves long before nature had to. The fifth threat, they left. This theory is the most mysterious and the most hopeful. If a civilization became advanced enough to understand physics, astronomy, and energy on scales far beyond our capabilities, why stay? Why remain on a planet prone to extinction events, asteroid impacts, volcanic winters, and unstable climates? A species millions of years older than us might have reached the stars. Imagine a civilization that mastered interstellar travel, self-sustaining space habitats, asteroid engineering, energy harvesting on stellar scales. If they left Earth, they would take their knowledge and perhaps their bodies with them. What remains would be subtle. Small anomalies, strange traces, unexplained patterns in geology. The Earth wouldn't show their future. It would only hold the silence of their absence. This is the fifth possibility. An ancient civilization didn't die, it moved on. The final question: if a civilization rose before us and fell, what does that say about us? Are we destined to repeat their fate? Or can we learn from a past we cannot see? The silence of Earth's deep history may be more than just absence. It may be a shadow, a warning, a pattern. It may be telling us something. Civilizations rise, but only some survive. The next part dives deeper into this mystery. Could we find any hard evidence of a pre-human civilization, even after hundreds of millions of years? What clues might still exist, buried or hidden in plain sight? The evidence that should not exist. If a civilization existed long before humans, then something should remain. Not cities, not machines, not bones, but patterns, faint fingerprints left in geology, chemistry, or the fossil record. Clues subtle enough to be overlooked, yet strange enough to raise questions. To find them, we must shift our thinking. We are not looking for buildings, but anomalies. Not artifacts, but signatures. Not objects, but events that don't quite fit the natural story. Let's explore the possible evidence a pre-human civilization might leave behind, evidence we may already have, but do not yet understand. The first clue: artificial elements lost in time. Civilizations create chemicals that nature doesn't. plastics, synthetic isotopes, industrial compounds. Most decay too quickly to last millions of years. But some isotopes could remain locked in rock layers, detectable only through their chemical fingerprints. Now here's the mystery. There are a few geological layers, deep, ancient, and puzzling, containing unusual concentrations of metals and isotopes that don't fit volcanic or meteorite explanations. These layers are rare, scattered, and often dismissed as anomalous spikes. But anomalies can be signals. Pre-human civilization might have mined elements in concentrated regions, or produced industrial-scale chemical byproducts, or created synthetic isotopes that became trapped in sediments, or altered the atmosphere in ways that left chemical scars. These scars might still lie buried in ancient rock formations, misinterpreted simply because they seem too early for civilization. This is the first potential evidence. Chemical anomalies that don't match natural processes. The second clue, geological layers that feel wrong. Certain ancient layers of sediment show patterns that are unexpected. Sharp transitions, sudden temperature jumps, rapid carbon changes. Normally, these are blamed on volcanoes or asteroid impacts, and often that's true. But some transitions tens of millions of years apart resemble the same kind of chemical signature produced by modern industrial emissions, spikes in carbon types that correlate with the combustion of organic matter. Scientists call these folds in time hyperthermal events. Most occurred long before humans existed. But what if not all of them were purely natural? What if one or more were triggered by a short-lived civilization burning forests, fuels, or organic resources on a massive scale? The Earth would have forgotten their cities, but not their atmospheric fingerprint. This is the second potential evidence. Ancient carbon spikes resembling industrial activity. The third clue, fossils that seem out of place. Sometimes fossils appear that don't fit the timeline. A tool-like object embedded in coal. A metallic sphere found in ancient sediment. Geometrically carved stones in layers far older than humans. Most of these claims are misinterpretations, natural formations that look artificial. But some remain unsolved. Nature can create fascinating shapes, but it rarely creates precision without purpose. Imagine a civilization that used wood decays completely, the soft metals erode rapidly, organic materials biodegrade, fiber tools leave no fossil trace. Their technology might be invisible to us, but the places where they lived, structures carved into hillsides, modified cave systems, reshaped riverbeds, might leave subtle geological imprints, patterns too intentional to be erosion, yet too old to be human. This is the third potential evidence. Subtle geological structures that hint at ancient engineering. The fourth clue, anomalies in fossil absence. Sometimes the greatest clues aren't what we find, but what's missing. Entire species disappear suddenly with no obvious disaster. Ecosystems collapse without volcanic or impact evidence. Evolutionary branches end abruptly, as though something disrupted the chain. A technologically advanced species might hunt key species to extinction, alter their ecosystems, create artificial pressures, collapse food webs, just as humans did, but millions of years earlier. The fossil record would show devastation, without a clear cause, and we have several of these silent extinctions in Earth's distant past, events too small to be mass extinctions, but too large to be natural. This is the fourth possible evidence. Unexplained extinction waves that resemble human impact. The fifth clue, the impossible artifact theory. There are rare objects sometimes labeled OOP-arts, out-of-place artifacts, often misunderstood, exaggerated, or fabricated. But the idea they represent is valid. If a civilization rose tens of millions of years ago, their artifacts would almost certainly not survive intact. But fragments might. Tiny pieces of alloys, regular geometric marks, unusual metallic structures inside rock. To us, they would appear meaningless, impossible, or simply unstudied. The question is not whether any specific example today is real. It is this: would we even recognize an artifact if it was millions of years old and nearly unidentifiable? The answer might be no. This is the fifth possible evidence. Fragmentary clues unrecognized as technology. What this really means, none of these clues prove anything. But together, they form a haunting possibility. Maybe the evidence of a pre-human civilization isn't missing. Maybe we simply don't know how to interpret it. Maybe we are looking for metal, stone, and machines, when we should be looking for chemistry, disruption, and anomalies. Technology of the ancients, what they could have built. If a civilization existed long before humans, its technology would not look like ours. It might not involve metal. It might not involve electricity. It might not involve machines or engines. Because technology is not one single path. It is an expression of intelligence adapting to its environment. And Earth, hundreds of millions of years ago, was a world completely different from ours. So what would an ancient, advanced species build? How would they manipulate their world? What form would their progress take? To understand their technology, we must understand their bodies, their limitations, and their landscape. Every species evolves tools shaped by its biology. Our intelligence shaped our tools. But for another intelligent species, perhaps ocean dwellers, reptilian thinkers, or early mammals, their path would diverge completely. Let's explore. The first tech path, biological engineering. Nature itself might have been their greatest toolkit. Instead of metal, they might have used modified plants, engineered organisms, controllable fungi, symbiotic creatures, bioluminescent networks. Imagine a civilization that grew structures instead of building them, where architecture might look like massive living coral, shaped into cities. Imagine tools that regenerate, infrastructure that heals itself, communication that uses chemical signals or pattern light. This kind of technology leaves no fossil footprint whatsoever. No wires, no metal, no circuits. Only soil enriched with strange biochemicals, which, millions of years later, we would misinterpret as natural anomalies. In other words, a biological-based civilization could vanish without a trace. The second tech path, advanced materials we can't recognize. What if their technology relied on materials that decay far faster than metal or stone? A resin stronger than steel, a natural composites, plant-based polymers, a chitin machinery, biodegradable infrastructure. If their tools were organic, engineered to break down after use, then nothing would remain. Even our plastic, which seems eternal, decomposes in a few million years. Now imagine technology deliberately designed to return to nature. For a species that respects harmony, not dominance, this would make sense. Their equivalent of electronics might degrade like leaves. Their vehicles might have been grown rather than built. Their cities might dissolve like forests. We would never find a trace. This is the second possibility. An ancient civilization whose materials were born and reclaimed by nature. The third tech path, energy without industry. Humans rely on fire, combustion, and heavy industry. But another species might have used energy differently. Perhaps a geothermal tapping through biological organisms, a chemical energy stored in engineered cells, a photosynthetic infrastructure, electromagnetic sensitivity enabling natural circuitry, a sonic or vibrational communication networks. Their energy system might not require refineries, factories, or fuel. It might be silent, invisible, integrated into the environment. Imagine light sources grown like luminescent trees. Imagine heat acquired through engineered mineral colonies. Imagine communication through low-frequency biological pulses. To us, these would simply look like odd fossils or unusual formations in rock. But to them, it would be civilization. This is the third possibility. Technology that uses natural energy instead of industrial power. The fourth tech path, oceanic civilization. If the first advanced species lived in the ocean, everything changes. Underwater civilizations wouldn't. Build fires, smelt metal, carve stone monuments, construct skyscrapers, leave behind land-based ruins. They would build bubble-like communication chambers, bioluminescent pathways, pressure-regulated habitats, coral constructs engineered for strength, tools shaped from shells, cartilage, or mineralization. And the ocean floor constantly erases itself. Sediment buries everything. Currents scatter remains. Earth's crust recycles the seabed every 200 million years. An entire advanced ocean civilization could exist, thrive for millions of years, and vanish without a single recognizable artifact. This is the fourth possibility. A civilization beneath the waves, erased by the sea. The fifth tech path, technology that transformed them. This is the most mysterious and perhaps the most profound possibility. What if their final invention was themselves? A civilization millions of years older than us might have reached a level where technology and biology merged completely. Instead of tools, they might have altered their own bodies, shaped their senses, extended their consciousness, merged with ecosystems, achieved collective intelligence, uploaded memories into biological carriers, or transcended their original form entirely. Their technology wouldn't remain in artifacts. It would remain in lineages, in the odd genetic quirks of modern species, in unexplained biological traits. It would remain in nature itself. We might be walking among the last echoes of their technology without realizing it. This is the fifth possibility. A civilization that integrated with life so deeply that only living creatures carry their legacy. The final revelation. When we imagine ancient civilizations, we imagine metal, stone, engines, towers. But these are human inventions, shaped by our constraints. Another species evolving under different pressures, in different worlds, with different bodies, would build something we may never recognize. Their cities could have been forests. Their tools could have been shells. Their power could have been light. Their artifacts could have been alive. If they vanished millions of years ago, the Earth would not show us their machines. It would only show us their silence. The ancestral hand. Did an ancient civilization shape humanity? If a civilization rose on Earth long before humans and vanished, one final question remains. Did they leave something behind? Something that helped us rise? Not in the form of cities, monuments, or machines, but in a quieter, deeper way, hidden in our biology, our behavior, or the environment that shaped us. Let's explore the possibilities. The first possibility, they altered the environment we inherited. Imagine a species that existed millions of years before humans. Their actions, intentional or accidental, could have reshaped the world we were born into. They might have engineered forests or ecosystems, altered atmospheric composition, stabilized climates, spread species across continents, triggered evolutionary pressures, wiped out dominant predators, or enriched soils with resources. Even a short-lived civilization could influence which creatures survived, which species competed, what environments flourished, which evolutionary paths became possible. Earth today might be the distant echo of their choices. We live inside a world sculpted by life and time, but perhaps also sculpted by minds long gone. This is the first possibility. Environmental engineering that indirectly shaped human evolution. The second possibility, they accidentally created a pathway to us. What if ancient intelligence left behind? Engineered organisms, a hybrid species, altered genetics, viral changes, artificial pressures that set in motion a chain of events leading to humanity? These beings may not have intended to shape the future. Their experiments, biological or ecological, could ripple across millions of years, just as humans today alter the future of evolution. An ancient species might have done the same. Perhaps certain mammals only rose because a prior civilization hunted their predators, reshaped their environment, or genetically influenced species we evolved from. This is not intervention. This is consequence. This is the second possibility. Their past actions accidentally set the stage for human intelligence. The third possibility, a deliberate legacy, a far more mysterious idea. What if they knew their end was coming? If a pre-human civilization reached a high level of intelligence, they might have tried to preserve something of themselves. Not monuments, they don't survive. Not machines, they decay. Not records, they crumble. But genetics lasts. Biology endures. The most permanent archive on Earth is life itself. Imagine a dying civilization planting genetic seeds in early organisms, not to create humans, but to ensure that intelligence would rise again. Small changes, subtle nudges, traits that favor a curiosity, a memory, a creativity, a problem-solving, a social bonding. These traits appear in nature, but they appear in humans with overwhelming intensity. What if evolution didn't simply stumble onto them by chance? This is the third possibility. Intelligence may have been encouraged, not created, by an ancient species. The fourth possibility, we are their descendants. This theory is bold, dramatic, and speculative, but not impossible. What if an ancient species faced extinction and tried to preserve itself the only way it could? By reducing itself, by abandoning its complex form, by returning to simplicity, by embedding its legacy in a new lineage. A civilization facing ecological collapse might engineer a simpler, more adaptable version of itself, a biological reset, a way to start over. The engineered descendants wouldn't remember. They wouldn't inherit technology, only potential, only the capacity to rebuild intelligence over millions of years. In this view, humans are not the first intelligent species. We are the continuation, the descendants of a forgotten age, not knowing who we once were. The fifth possibility, we are completely alone, and that is the message asterisk asterisk. There is another interpretation. Perhaps no ancient civilization influenced us. Perhaps the silence before humanity is total. If so, it tells us something powerful. Intelligence is rare. Civilization is fragile. And we are the first to carry this torch. In that case, the burden falls entirely on us. To survive, to grow, to avoid the extinction cycles that erased countless species before us. If no one came before us, then we are the pioneers of Earth's future. But if someone did come before us, then we are the inheritors of a legacy we cannot remember. If an ancient civilization influenced us, intentionally or not, their fingerprints may still exist. Not in stones, not in ruins, but in our minds, our instincts, our dreams, and in the strange ways our intelligence emerged. Where the last traces would be hiding. If a civilization lived millions of years ago, almost everything they built would be gone. Cities collapse, metals rust, electronics decay, monuments erode, even plastics break down eventually. Time is merciless. So where should we look? Let's follow the clues nature gives us. 1. The deep ocean floor, Earth's memory vault. The ocean floor hides the world's longest, oldest archives. Why? Because sediment builds slowly, millimeter by millimeter, preserving layers like the pages of a book. If an ancient civilization existed, the ocean floor might still hold unusual metal concentrations, a non-natural isotopes, a sudden chemical spikes, a strange fossil patterns, a microplastics-like particles, a remnants of artificial compounds. Even after millions of years, chemistry remembers. And the deep ocean is the safest hiding place on Earth. If a mysterious layer appears out of nowhere, it could be the ghost of an ancient industrial age. 2. Buried continental layers, the geological time capsule. Continents drift, collide, rise, and sink. But some ancient crust survives, extremely old, extremely stable. These cratons contain rocks more than 3 billion years old. If any traces survived, they might be found in a trapped minerals, a deep borals, a preserved sedimentary pockets, a fossilized organic chemical residues. We wouldn't see machines or structures. We'd see signatures, strange chemical patterns that don't belong, elements arranged in unnatural ratios, isotopes that require technology to produce. Nature is consistent. Anything inconsistent is a clue. 3. Hidden in fossils, not bones but patterns. We often think of fossils as bones, but fossils are also pollen, spores, a microscopic shells, ancient microbes, preserved chemicals, a mineral imprints. If a civilization altered the environment, we might notice a sudden disappearances of species, unnatural bursts of extinctions, a rapid climate instability, abrupt atmospheric changes, unusual carbon isotope ratios, chemical anomalies in sediments. These would look similar to the Anthropocene, human-caused environmental markers, but far older. Nature rarely changes abruptly. Civilizations do. For artificial elements, the signature that cannot hide. There are certain things nature almost never makes. A complex alloys, a refined metals, a high-purity elements, engineered ceramics, a nuclear byproducts. Even if buildings crumble, even if machines turn to dust, their materials become geological evidence. A tiny fragment of an alloy that shouldn't exist in nature is enough to rewrite history. Just one. 5. The best hiding place. Under ancient ice or lakes. Antarctica contains layers of ice that store atmospheric bubbles, dust, a volcanic ash, a chemical fingerprints. If something unusual happened long before humans, the ice might still remember. The same is true of ancient lakebeds, especially those untouched for millions of years. In these places, we could detect industrial contaminants, a sudden soot layers, abnormal warming cycles, micro traces of refined minerals. Layers do not lie. They record everything. 6. The shadow evidence. What's not there? This part is subtle but fascinating. Sometimes the absence of something is the clue. All life follows evolutionary patterns. When those patterns break, suddenly, globally, and simultaneously, it suggests a disruptive event. This could be an asteroid, a supervolcano, a gamma ray burst, or a civilization-triggered collapse. If we find an ancient extinction that doesn't match natural causes, that's where we should look closer. Patterns out of rhythm. Our fingerprints. White medium star, the real challenge. What if the evidence is so old we don't recognize it? Here's the chilling possibility. What if we've already found evidence, but dismissed it because it didn't look like civilization? If they didn't use a metal, concrete, a glass, a fossil fuels, a plastics, then their trace would look nothing like ours. We might be staring at their legacy without understanding it. The final question of this part: if evidence exists, it's not going to be a city or a machine. It will be a whisper in the rocks, chemical shadow, a geological anomaly, a sudden disruption in nature's rhythm. Tiny, easy to miss, but powerful enough to change everything we know about Earth's past. Civilization cycles, Earth's forgotten timeline. Civilizations think they are permanent. They believe they are the first. They believe they are the chosen ones, the pinnacle. But Earth has watched billions of years pass. Species rise. Species vanish. Worlds rebuild themselves. From Earth's perspective, a civilization is just a momentary flicker, a spark in the dark. So let's explore the idea that advanced civilizations on Earth may come in cycles. Not once, not twice, but many times. 1. The Earth doesn't care who is first, only who survives. To us, our existence feels special. We have cities, science, technology, spacecraft, but Earth has gone through a global resets, a mass extinctions, a continents drifting apart, oceans rising and disappearing, ice sheets miles thick, a firestorms that turn skies red, a volcanic winters, a supernova radiation, asteroid impacts. If a civilization existed before us, Earth would not preserve it. Earth recycles. Stone becomes sand. Mountains become dust. Oceans become continents. Continents sink into the mantle. Nothing lasts forever. Not even civilizations. 2. How civilizations could rise and fall without meeting each other. This is one of the most fascinating ideas. Imagine a civilization rises tens of millions of years ago. They flourish. They advance. They spread across the world. And then, Nature resets the planet. Ice age, volcanoes, impact, climate shift. Everything resets back to zero. Millions of years pass. Another species evolves. Another civilization rises. Another golden age forms. They know nothing of the previous one, because time erased everything. This could have happened multiple times, like chapters in a book with missing pages. We only see our chapter, not the ones before. 3. Evidence of multiple civilization cycles is hidden in evolution. Here's something rarely discussed. Evolution doesn't only go forward. Sometimes it goes sideways, sometimes backwards. Sometimes entire branches are wiped clean. But there are strange moments where nature seems to restart, as if something reset the entire playing field. For example, unexplained extinction events, a sudden burst of new species, long gaps in the fossil record, abrupt environmental collapses, rapid recoveries that shouldn't be possible, unexplained fossil anomalies. These may not prove civilizations existed, but they show Earth has undergone repeated resets, capable of erasing even advanced life. 4. Even our own civilization would vanish in a geological instant. This is the scary part. If humanity disappeared today, how long would our world last? Skyscrapers? Gone in 5,000 years. Roads? 20,000 years. Bridges? 1,000 years. Power plants? 200 years. Satellites? They fall and burn. Plastics? Breakdown accelerates under UV and microbes. Metals? Rust to dust. Cities? Buried under sand, forest, and ocean. In 1 million years, almost nothing man-made would remain, except thin chemical traces in the soil. Now imagine a civilization that vanished 30 million years ago, 50 million, 100 million, 300 million. Every trace would be obliterated. We would never know they existed. 5. Civilizations might be more common than we think. Here's a radical idea. Civilizations may be a natural stage in Earth's long life, like seasons in a year. Not rare, not unique, just temporary. One intelligence evolves, builds, expands, falls. The planet resets. Another emerges. A cycle, not a singular event. We could be living in the latest cycle, not the first. 6. What if we are the first to escape the cycle? Here is where the story becomes hopeful and frightening. Maybe every civilization before us failed at the same point. A climate collapse, or a resource exhaustion, an asteroid impact, an ecosystem destruction, an inability to unify, a technological self-destruction. Maybe each one reached a peak and then vanished. We might be the first civilization with the technology to avoid their fate. Or we could be repeating it without even knowing. The final thought of this: civilizations believe they are the main character, the center of the universe, the beginning of the story. But Earth has lived through entire eras of life that we will never know. Civilizations may rise on this planet, like constellations in the night, bright for a moment, then gone, replaced by new ones that never meet the ones before. We are just one spark in Earth's endless timeline. The question is simple. Will our spark last, or will we vanish like the ones before us? The invisible civilization. Take a deep breath. Imagine standing on a vast empty plain, the wind moving gently through the grass. No sign of cities, no ruins, no metal, no pottery, no bones, just silence. And yet, what if beneath your feet lies the remnant of a world, so old and so thoroughly erased that even the earth itself has forgotten it? This part is about how a civilization can vanish so completely that it becomes truly invisible. 1. The geological obliteration problem. The problem isn't that ancient civilizations left no evidence. The problem is that Earth destroys evidence extremely efficiently. Consider what 1 million years does. Continents shift. Rivers erase land. Glaciers scrape the ground clean. Mountains rise and collapse. Oceans drown entire regions. Tectonic plates recycle the crust. Forests reclaim everything. Deserts bury what remains. Civilization doesn't fade over millions of years. It dissolves. If a civilization existed 10 million years ago, we wouldn't find ruins. We wouldn't find bones. We wouldn't find tools. We would find nothing. Just dust that forgets. 2. If a species didn't build like us, we wouldn't recognize their world. Here's a thought. We assume past civilizations would build cities, towers, machines. Because we do. But what if they evolved differently? What if they used biological materials, organic technology, structures grown, not built, tools made from living ecosystems, energy extracted from nature, not mined, temporary structures designed to return to the earth? Imagine a civilization that used no metal, no stone, no concrete, no plastic, no fossil fuels. Their world would not fossilize. It would not preserve. It would melt back into nature, as if it never existed. We would never recognize their cities, because their cities became soil. This possibility is rarely considered, yet it completely reshapes the search. 3. The idea of a civilization that never left a footprint. What if the civilization was low impact, highly efficient, in harmony with nature, technologically advanced but eco-silent, using materials that biodegrade perfectly, producing no mass pollution, leaving no scars on the landscape? It's possible that an extremely advanced species might not damage their planet at all. No burnt fuel, no mining scars, no industrial layers, no waste. To us, this would look like pure wilderness. A civilization so advanced, it erased its own footprint long before time did. 4. The ocean effect. 70% of history is underwater. Most civilizations, even ours, build near water. But water is not a safe archive. It destroys everything. If an ancient civilization lived along coastlines millions of years ago, those coastlines are now deep underwater, subducted into trenches, buried under silt, broken by tectonics, unreachable by modern archaeology. Imagine a great ancient port city, completely gone beneath miles of water and sediment. We look on land for ruins, but the earth hides most of its past under the waves. 5. Time is the ultimate enemy of memory. Let this sink in. Humans have existed for around 300,000 years. Civilization, only 10,000 years. But Earth has existed for 4.5 billion years. If Earth were a 24-hour day, humans appear at 23 hours, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds. All of human civilization is the last 0.2 seconds. Everything before that, we never witnessed. And a civilization 50 million years ago, 100 million, 400 million, it would be erased by time, like a footprint in rain. We think we know Earth's past, but we've only read the last page of the book. All other pages are missing. 6. The terrifying possibility. We are not the first to ask. Here is the quiet, chilling thought that ends this part. What if long ago, another species reached a level like ours? What if they asked the same questions? Where are the ones before us? Are we alone in history? Are we the first? And what if they never found the truth either? Because the earth buried their memories, just as it will one day bury ours. Civilizations rise. Civilizations fall. The earth forgets. Time moves on, and the cycle repeats. Why don't we see them in our DNA or fossils? If intelligent beings existed before us, why do humans seem to be the only species with our kind of intelligence? Why don't we see their bones, their ancestry, their genetic fingerprints? To understand this, we need to explore how evolution really works and how easily entire species can vanish without leaving a trace. 1. DNA doesn't last long enough to remember them. This is one of the biggest reasons. DNA has an expiration date. Even under perfect conditions, DNA breaks apart over time. The oldest DNA ever recovered is about 2 million years old. Most fossils contain no DNA at all after a few 100,000 years. Now imagine a civilization that lived 10 million years ago, 50 million, 100 million, 300 million. Their DNA wouldn't survive. Not even a fragment. Not even a whisper. Their genetics would be erased long before we appeared. The Earth forgets what came before us, down to the molecules. 2. Intelligence doesn't evolve in a straight line. We tend to imagine evolution like a ladder. Simple, smart, human-like. But evolution is not a ladder. It's a branching tree. And intelligence is just one possible branch. There's no rule that says intelligence must evolve. It must evolve again after extinction. It must follow the same path. It must create human-like beings. It must leave a trace in future species. Evolution does not repeat itself. If another intelligent species existed, they could be nothing like humans, nothing like mammals, nothing like apes, nothing like anything alive today. And when they vanished, their branch of the tree died with them. We're not their descendants. We're simply the survivors of a completely different branch. 3. Our fossil record is fragile, and most of history is missing. Here's something almost unbelievable. We only have fossils for a tiny fraction of species that ever lived. Some estimates say over 99% of species left no fossils at all. Why? Because fossilization requires extremely rare conditions: rapid burial, low oxygen, stable sediments, specific minerals, no scavengers, no erosion, no geological upheaval. Most creatures die, rot, and vanish. Now imagine a species that lived in forests, lived on coasts, built temporary structures, lived in climates where fossils don't form, or buried their dead, or lived in an era where rocks from that time no longer exist. They would leave no bones, no fossils, no remains, not because they weren't real, but because the Earth didn't preserve them. Human-like fossils are rare. Ancient intelligent fossils, millions of years older, almost impossible. For what if they weren't humanoid at all? This is a perspective-shifting idea. We expect intelligent species to walk upright, have hands, build tools, speak, look somewhat like us. But nature doesn't follow templates. What if the earlier intelligent species was reptilian, aquatic, avian, cephalopod-like, something we don't even have words for, something we can't imagine because evolution took a different path? Their bodies may not fossilize well, or they may fossilize in a way we don't recognize as intelligent. We might have already found their fossils, but misclassified them as ordinary animals. Our assumptions shape what we see. If they didn't resemble humans, we might never identify them. 5. A civilization could rise without altering future species. Here's the truth. A species can rise to intelligence and vanish, without affecting evolution at all. We assume an ancient intelligent species would influence our genetics. But evolution doesn't work that way. If they didn't interbreed with our ancestors, if they lived millions of years earlier, their DNA never entered our lineage. We are not connected to them biologically. Their rise and fall would have zero genetic impact on us. We would appear later, from a different branch, with no memory of them in our DNA. 6. Extinction clean slates the world. Mass extinctions wipe the evolutionary slate clean. Asteroids, volcanoes, ice ages, oxygen crises, supercontinents breaking apart. Each reset can erase species, fossils, ecosystems, entire evolutionary branches. If a civilization existed before a major extinction event, the event itself may have erased both the species and their evidence. Humanity could simply be the latest species, allowed to evolve after nature hit reset. The final question of this part: if there was a civilization long before humans, millions, tens of millions, even hundreds of millions of years ago, Of course they left no DNA. Of course they left no fossils. Of course they left no descendants. The Earth is too old. Time is too powerful. Extinction is too thorough. We are not the children of ancient civilizations. We are simply the next ones. If ancient civilizations truly made it past the threshold, if they learned to survive extinction, master technology, and understand the universe in ways we can barely imagine, then there is one final question that hangs over everything. Where are they now? If they're out there, if they endured when others fell, why don't we see them? Why don't they speak? Why don't they intervene? Why is the universe so silent? The answer might be far more profound than we expect. Because maybe they are not gone. They are not hidden. They are simply beyond us. To a species millions of years older, humanity might be like a small flame just beginning to grow. Fragile, promising, not yet ready for the winds of the larger universe. And the civilizations that came before us, if they survived, may live at scales we cannot perceive. One, they might exist in forms we cannot detect. Some could have transitioned into digital consciousness. Their bodies might be networks of energy or matter woven through space. Their presence could be subtle, quantum fluctuations, gravitational anomalies, patterns in cosmic radiation. To us, it would look like nature. To them, it would be home. Two, they could live in regions of the universe inaccessible to our physics. Dark matter, higher dimensions, quantum substrates, places we cannot reach. Yet, three, they might have chosen non-interference, not out of apathy, but wisdom. Intervening too early could stunt a species' development. It could disturb culture, identity, purpose. It could create dependency instead of growth. So they wait and watch, as they once did with their predecessors. For they communicate in ways we haven't learned to recognize. Patterns in star formation, mathematical harmonics in cosmic background noise, signatures in the DNA of life itself, messages written in the architecture of the universe, not in radio waves or machines. 5. They might have moved on to the next stage of existence. Just as insects cannot comprehend human technology, humans may not yet comprehend theirs. A species that masters physics might learn to migrate into black holes, or create their own universes, or exist as stabilized patterns of information in space-time. To us, this looks like absence. To them, it is evolution. But here is the final, most haunting possibility. They never left. Not in the sense of being underground or underwater, but in the sense that their legacy shapes the universe itself. Perhaps the constants of nature, the speed of light, the strength of gravity, the charge of the electron, are not random. Perhaps they are the final message of the first civilization, a perfectly tuned universe where life can arise, evolve, and someday understand the truth. A cosmic invitation, a door waiting to be opened by any species that reaches maturity. And humanity is approaching that door now. We are beginning to understand physics at the deepest levels. Quantum mechanics, relativity, the structure of space-time, the nature of consciousness. We are just beginning to see the faint outlines of something larger, a pattern too complex to be coincidence. And maybe when we finally understand it, when we cross that threshold, we will discover that we were never the first. We were always part of something ancient, interwoven with civilizations that came before, connected through time, biology, physics, and the fabric of the universe. Because the ultimate truth may not be that other civilizations existed, but that we are one thread in a tapestry billions of years old. And the story is still unfolding. So in the end, the universe may not be silent. We may simply be too young to hear the full symphony. Every star, every planet, every atom in your body is a continuation of a story far older than Earth itself. A story written by civilizations that may have risen and fallen long before us, and by forces of nature that shaped the cosmos long before life had a chance to begin. But now, we are the ones standing at the edge. We are the ones asking the questions they once asked. Where did we come from? Are we alone? What is our place in this vast cosmic sea? And the truth is this: The next chapter of the universe will be written by those who dare to wonder, those who dare to explore, those who look up at the night sky not with fear, but with curiosity. If humanity is to survive the great filter, if we are to become one of the rare civilizations that endures, it will begin with understanding our universe, respecting its mysteries, and choosing knowledge over ignorance. You are part of that choice. Every question you ask, every idea you explore, every spark of curiosity you follow, it all pushes us one step closer to becoming the kind of civilization that lasts. So if this journey shook you, inspired you, or made you see the cosmos a little differently, you know what to do. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you never miss the next chapter. Because together, we're not just learning about the universe, we're becoming part of its story. And who knows, maybe someday, far in the future, another young civilization will look up at their sky and wonder if they're alone, and they will find us.